welcome once again to Brunch. I, as always, am Jenny, and I am here to be really loud on your screens on a Sunday morning, as usual. Today, we have Romeo and Juliet Virtually joining us on the show. It's a really fun, wonderful interpretation of Romeo and Juliet. So we're going to talk a little bit about, well, a lot of it about that. But before we get into that, we're going to make a thing divine cocktail. Oh. Now this is gonna be real interesting because I have this fancy new bottle opener from Shein. Hold on, can I hold my face so that it looks like a hello, I'm a masquerade. Oh. But anyway, yes, we have this. I'm not great at opening bottles, so we'll see what happens. So the first ingredient I'm gonna have is a Seagram's Escapes Jamaican Me Happy lemon, strawberry, watermelon, and guava flavors. What kind of alcohol is this? Do we know what kind of alcohol this is? It's an alcohol. And also, I'm gonna open you. Fun fact, I've never used a bottle opener before. I usually do cans. Yes, all right. So that was pretty. That's open. So the next thing we're also going to use is our Angry Orchard hard cider, green apple. Your girl loves green apples over here. So does my dog Poppy. My Poppy, dogs can have apples. They can. So when she's a good girl, we share apples, and she's never happier than when. Can you be a? No, it's not a twist off. It's not. Yeah, it says use bottle opener right on the top.
Oh, I did not do that.
I did, unfortunately. Hey, do your job. There we go. All right, it would just be a bratty. And then we also have some apple juice. Anyway, here's what we're gonna do. It is still my birthday month, so we have a big girl glass for a big girl drink. Jenny from the bench, yeah. That is all the puns. We love all the puns. A long time ago, actually, there was a book series called Genny in a Bottle, which was about a French genie, like teenage genie, and I loved it so much. But anytime I would talk about it to my teachers, they'd be like, "Do you mean to spell genie in a bottle?" Like I was the idiot, but I'm holding the fucking book up for them, and whatever. Anyway, so we have just our regular apple juice in this jar. I'm gonna pour some of that in for right now. I might pour more in later. Measure with your heart, with your Seagram's. What is Seagram's? Do we know? It says contains alcohol. Seagram Beverage Company. It's a malt beverage, so I guess it's a beer? All right, and then we've got our Angry Orchard. Measure with your heart, not your mind. And then I'm gonna add a little more apple juice to it, just so I don't die. We're gonna mix it all together. Well, first, before we mix it all together, we're of course, as per usual, going to add some Fancy Sprinkles Prism powder in which color did I grab? Ruby red. I have a cabinet full, which many of you saw one day when some guests hadn't arrived. Let's see how much that is. I'm gonna use my straw to stir. Ooh, that was like magic. All right. I'm gonna put you here for now, so I can have a neat clean up later. I can put this thing over there. All right. So this was an easy one. Look how pretty she is. Ooh, she tasty. All right. So I know I usually make something to go with my drinks. Usually something easy and light, so that way I don't take up too much time. But my Girl Scout cookie order came in, so I'm just gonna have a plate of a flavored malt beverage. All right, so I know how to read. Great. Yeah, my Girl Scout cookies came in. What? Okay, sorry. I'm on a very tiny screen, so I'm always just like, what are people thinking? Anyway, my Girl Scout cookies came in. I have Do-si-dos because they're my favorite. Also, I had some Lemon Ups before, which I also really like. but it's giving me weird bathroom issues. So if anyone knows that lemon ups do that, great. If not, I may be allergic to lemon ups. Who knows? Well, I get all of this delicious fun time set up over there. Sparkly! Yes, I'm gonna get all this wonderful fun times with my cocktails and cookie day set up in my little kitchen. We're gonna have a little preview of Romeo and Juliet Virtually, so that way y'all know what show we're gonna be discussing and stuff. Enjoy! Yay!
But come with me, and we shall make short work. For by your leaves, you two shall not be alone till Holy Church incorporate 2 in 1. The heavens so smile upon this holy act, that after hours with sorrow chide us not. These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumphs die like fire and powder, which as they kiss and flame. The sweetest honey is loathsome in its own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore, love moderately. Long love doth so. Too swift arrives as tardy as too slow. Oh, so light of foot will ne'er wear out the everlasting flint. A lover may bestride the gossamer that idles in the wanton summer air, and yet not fall. So light is vanity. Amen.
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 Amen. Amen. But come what sorrow can, it cannot countervail the exchange of joy that one short minute gives me in her sight. Do thou but close our hands with holy words, and love-devouring death do what he dare. It is enough that I may but call her wife.
And I will follow thee, my lord, throughout the land.
Oh, now isn't this better than groaning for love? Now art thou sociable. Now art thou Romeo. Now thou art what thou art, by also, by nature.
Oh, by my head, here come the other Capulet.
Oh, by my heel, I care not.
Gentlemen, good den. Word with one of you.
But one word with one of us? Couple it with something. Make it 2.
Find me apt enough to that, sir. You will give me the occasion.
Can you not give occasion without taking?
Mercutio,
What?
thou consortest with Romeo? What's
Consort. Dost thou make us minstrels? Then prepare to hear nothing but discords. This is my fiddlestick, and this shall make you dance. Zounds. Consort.
Peace be with you, sir. Romeo's my man.
Oh, I be slain, sir. If he's for your library.
Romeo! The hate I bear thee can afford no better term than this. Thou art a villain!
We talk here in the public haunt, either withdrawn to some private place and reason coldly of your grievances, or else depart. Here all eyes gaze on us.
Men's eyes were made to look. Let them gaze. I will not budge for no man's pleasure.
Tybalt, the reason I have to love thee much doth excuse the appertaining rage of such a greeting. Villain I am none, therefore farewell. I see thou knowest me not.
No! Boy, this shall not excuse the injuries that thou hast done me!
I do protest. I never injured thee, but love thee better than thou canst devise, till thou shalt know the reason of my love. And so, good Capulet, which name I tender dearly as my own, be satisfied.
Oh, calm.
Huh?
Dishonorable. Vile submission. Tybalt, rat catcher. Take a walk.
Oh, well, what wouldst thou have with me? Huh?
Oh, just one of your 9 lives. And the rest of the 8.
Yay! Oh, am I caught that? Hey. Hey world, let me just make it so that you don't have to look at me at a slant all the time. Great. Better? Yes, it is. All right. Wonderful. Anyway, back to yay! That was great. Awesome. It's even more great to come. Please, please, please welcome Romeo and Juliet Virtually.
Hello.
Yes! Hello! How are you doing?
I'm great. My computer decided to restart and reboot just now, so I'm on my phone.
Love it. We love it. I do this entire show from my phone, so I understand the struggles. What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Coffee, yes. Oh my God.
It's 10 o'clock where I am. I'm exhausted.
Oh no. Well, thank you so much for being on so early.
No big deal. I appreciate being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell the audience at home who you are, how you're related to the project, all that stuff.
It's Ricky and Dana. I love Ricky and Dana.
I love Ricky and Dana. They're amazing.
So wait, I missed your question. What did you say? What did you ask?
Let the audience at home know who you are, how you're related to the project, and
Well, my name is Miles Berman. I created the concept and directed Romeo and Juliet. I also played the mayor. Yes, Ricky and Dana did review my show. They gave me an amazing review of my show. And yes, I love Stephen Vlasic as well. He is the writer, editor of Romeo and Juliet Virtually. Yeah. And so, anyway, yeah, I'm the director, and I created the concept back in, gosh, it's already, when did we do that? June? May? Something like that? I don't know. What is time?
what is time? This was part of the Hollywood Fringe, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we connected it to the Hollywood Fringe, yes. But it wasn't during Hollywood Fringe. Hollywood Fringe at that time was canceled for reasons beyond our control. And they were offering their ticketing service for free. And so I went through the Hollywood Fringe. Yes, ma'am.
Through the Hollywood Fringe. Wonderful. Amazing. So please tell me a little bit about your inspirations behind this project. I gotta tell you, it was wonderful. I had such a good time watching. My tech had such a good time watching. We had a real hard time picking apart to preview because it was all so great and wonderful. Please just give us a little insight into what inspired you to do the show this way.
Well, March 16th happened. Everything shut down.
Yeah.
And, I grew up in the hospital, so I kind of figured that this might last a lot longer than everyone was hoping. So I pretty much immediately jumped into the history books to figure out how to make theater online. One of my good buddies, Peter Michael Marino.
I love him.
Love him. I've known him for years. He created Show Up Kids.
I tech that show. I do the screen managing for it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I have a fun story about that, but I'll save that for later after the show. No, it's a great story, but it's not my story really to tell. It's Peter. Hey, Peter. So he came up with Show Up Kids in real life and was the very first person in the entire world to put it out online, and that inspired me to do the same. And so then I immediately talked to him. I immediately jumped on to the history books and realized real quickly that Romeo and Juliet actually kind of fit the situation we were in. And I realized that hiding the action, using dialogue to describe the action, and spectacle were things that we could still do on things like StreamYard. And on top of that, I also found that mask work was extremely beneficial as well. And it kind of just grew from there. I called Steven, the writer, editor, whatever you want to call it, and he jumped on board right away. I hit up Michael and asked him for a couple pieces of advice, and he helped me tremendously. Hey, look, my computer's now at 50%. Making all these theater things, it's all the problems of film with all the problems of theater combined with all the problems of the internet. The one phrase I found real quickly was, I don't know why this isn't working the way that it should. So yeah, I mean, it kind of was like a pipe dream almost. I just kind of, one day I was like, no, I'm going to make this a thing. I'm going to do it. And I did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Also, happy to know someone who also uses StreamYard. Wonderful.
Oh, I love StreamYard.
I love it. I know so many people who have been on the show, and they just they weren't used to it, but they fell in love with it after doing the show. You've already used it, so this is great.
This is actually the first time that I've been on the backstage area and not on the administrator side.
It is so spooky to see like just yourself back there. Like I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's actually quite beneficial because I have a couple other shows coming up, and it'll make it a lot easier to describe what it is on their end.
Take those screenshots while you can.
It's pretty much what I thought it would be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So of course we've talked about the hurdles of basically it being the worst of all worlds just combined into one thing. And while it is a beautiful thing that theater has continued to be right now, it is just always the as you said, the problems with theater, film, and the internet all merged into one beautiful thing.
Right.
Beautiful catastrophe that could go wrong at any point.
My computer decided to update.
Were there any other hurdles that you weren't even expecting to come across, and then all of a sudden you were like, oh, this is something I didn't even think of, but wow.
I mean, things were a lot slower. I've been in theater for, hey, my computer's finally up. I've been in theater for, 20 years. I got my bachelor's in it. I'm used to making theater and film. What I found, that's a good question. I don't know if anything surprised me per se, but I definitely had to deal with it. Like the lag. I figured lag was going to happen, and we worked tirelessly to make that pacing. A lot of the notes were step on each other's lines. Well, I didn't even hear what they said. I know you didn't hear what they said. Say it anyway, because the audience heard it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the challenges more stemmed from the actors' side of it, because I was kind of expecting it. Like, my whole thing was, it was all here. I saw the whole show. And everyone was calling me crazy. And I'm like, I know I'm crazy, but it's there. I can see it. So like my two notes that I gave over and over again, which as a director of theater and film made me cry and cringe every time, but it was the only way to express what I really needed to express. And it was bigger, more, be bigger. And they're like, what do you mean be bigger? And I'm like, well, instead of doing this, do this, move, be bigger, be expressive. One of my favorite moments in the show is when Romeo is professing his love and he, and then she starts talking, and then he gets really bored, and then he drops his phone. It's one of my favorite moments in the show because it shows so much about how hard we worked to make the show both visually and audibly, where'd my coffee go? Interesting.
And it shows. It really does, because it's a fantastic piece of theater, and I'm so happy that it exists. Is there anything that happened that actually wound up working better than you expected it to be?
Oh, that right away, I know exactly what moment to talk about. So during the show, during the actual run, the wonderful actress Vanya Renee, who played Tybalt, which you saw in that wonderful clip. It's funny. The clip I always show is the Mercutio Tybalt fight, and then the Tybalt Romeo fight. So you just picked the scene right before. Very interesting. It just shows how the show really is. But one day, it was during the second performance. I think it was second or third. I forget which. I think it was the second. She decided to hop into the YouTube chat after Tybalt dies. Oh no! Spoiler alert! 500-year-old play. Let me go to Facebook so I can switch over to my computer, so I don't have to be on my phone. And so yeah, she decided to hop into the chat. And I'll never forget. She was like, "Dead Tybalt has come back to talk to the audience," says Vanya. And the audience flipped. They loved it. Oh my God, they were, and this was great, and you blah, 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 blah. And like, you would think that it was distracting and hindering the progression of the show, but it was actually quite the opposite. It put people more engaged into the show. To the point to where we realized after the fact that with virtual audiences, it's almost like the groundlings of Shakespearean times, and the more tomatoes and lettuce that they throw at the bad guy, the more they're cheering and chuckling and making jokes and drinking, the more fun they're having. And that audio, that chat in the back, the YouTube chat is exactly that. I loved how you toyed with my emotions, putting Romeo and Juliet in the oh my God, that was actually so, Ricky, I love that you said that. That was actually the entire crux of the show. I built the entire show around one moment, and that moment was making the audience think that everyone was in quarantine, but my Romeo and Juliet, here we go, lived together. Hold on. Uno momento, por favor. Click. So my Romeo and Juliet lived together. They were quarantined together, and so I used that to my advantage. And the moment when Romeo and Juliet profess their love, they both are on the same screen together, in the same room. And then I used that to my advantage again by having multiple camera angles for one scene.
Yeah.
Which you saw.
Like a movie, but like live, but like a movie.
So it's not only just the problems of theater, film, and the internet combined, it's also all the advantages of theater, film, and the internet combined. I had cast members in Australia, I had cast members in North Hollywood, South Hollywood, Burbank, Orlando, Florida. I asked Peter to be in it, but he's not good with Shakespeare, he says. I don't believe that, Peter. I don't believe it.
Peter's good with everything, so.
Oh, man. Hilarious. Oh, I hope you're okay, Peter. I heard you got hurt.
Yeah, back injury. Yeah. I'm still very excited to find out.
I should be coming into StreamYard through my laptop, by the way.
Ooh, amazing. Wonderful.
Yeah. It's gonna be a bigger screen. Here I come. Bam. Waiting for it. Holding. I'm almost there. Oh no, now it says that I'm.
I am almost done with this, and let me tell you, it is It's a dangerous drink. Ooh. Excited to make another one of those later. Switch it over. Switch it over? Wonderful. Ah! Ah! Yay!
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yeah, you can hear me. All right.
Yay!
Much better.
Yay! So much easier. Oh, my next question going to be. Oh, yes, let's get to this one because this one's always very fun. It's something that I ask everyone on the show always. It's that thing that you always either go around at like the cast parties afterwards and talk about, or it's just these stories always come up in the middle of rehearsal sometimes. But we all have our theater horror stories that we love to share as bonding moments. One of my favorites that I've shared on this program countless times is during an outdoor production of Midsummer Night's Dream that I was in back in the before times. It was 2016. All of our performances up until our final performance had been rained out. So we didn't get to like practice at all outside. But our final show, we're like, yes, it's at least a little cloudy, but we're going to be outside. It's going to be fine. And we had been warned there were spiders in the area, but we didn't know how many. And I was playing Titania. So when I was asleep on the ground, I had spiders crawling all over my face, getting into my wig. And I had to try and find a way of like getting them off of me without diverting attention from the main show. So that's one of my big horror stories that I talk about all the time. Please, if you have anything to share.
Specifically with Romeo or Juliet, or in general?
In general.
A horror story. Well, I'll tell you with Romeo and Juliet, every Friday night we had bad connection problems because, you know, internet. And so opening night. It starts off with Mercutio. Well, technically, it starts off with me playing the mayor and doing the whole, you know, breaking news. But after that, it goes straight into the Romeo Mercutio scene with Mercutio inviting Romeo to the party, and everything worked, right? We tested everything. We're professionals. We do our mic checks. We do our camera checks. Show goes on. I finish my scene. Mercutio starts all the way over here. And you're supposed to be able to hear him because he speaks louder, because that's how he worked it. And then all of a sudden...
Oh, no!
The whole entire first, like, I don't know, what, that scene's like 6 minutes long, 5 minutes long. The whole first scene just was silent.
No!
We had to wait until we actually had the actors log in, log out, log back in, log back out like 2 or 3 times. Oh my God, no one could hear each other. I'm backstage like freaking out. But in the end, we restarted both Romeo and Juliet's phones. Not Romeo and Mercutio's phones. A full restart in the middle of the show, and got them back in. So that's a good one, specifically Romeo and Juliet. But like 3 times, 4 times error, it was my fault. Here's a good one. It was my fault, as all good stories should be. And I was backstage talking to one of my best friends about Star Trek and the difference between Captain Kirk and Captain Picard. And I heard my cue.
Oh no!
So I had to run around the whole stage. Around the whole stage. And like, those poor actors on the stage were like repeating the cue line. Knock, knock, knock. Oh, definitely Picard here. It's definitely important, and it's definitely Picard. And so I knock on the door, and I get in,
and I'm playing this detective, and this is like my scene. This is my scene with my monologue and yada yada yada. And it gets to that moment. It gets to my monologue, and I blank.
Oh,
Of course I would be. What else would I be talking about? Paying attention to the show. So I finish. I get to that monologue point when it's like my big like Sherlock Holmes moment, and I lost the whole monologue. It was just gone. And so then I do a brilliant, in my opinion, brilliant improv to get me back on track. And I do. I get myself back on track. And I do the last couple lines of the monologue, and I'm like, awesome. I get backstage. I go back to the stage manager, who was the person I was having the conversation with, by the way. But she's a genius. She was able to do all the and have the conversation. And she turns to me and goes, Miles, you can never talk about Star Trek behind. You're kind of right. She did start the conversation. Not the point. She told me I was never able to talk about Star Trek backstage ever again. And I go, why? And she just looked me dead in the eyes and said, you sounded like William Shatner. So apparently I was improvising exactly like how Shatner would be talking. And I was like, oh no. So I'd say that's probably my biggest snafu. But I've had furniture break. I did an outdoor show of The Tempest once where I played Miranda and it rained the entire show.
No, I mean, fitting, but also no.
That's what we say. Yeah.
Oh my God.
How's the drink?
Oh, it's almost gone. It is so good. I always make danger drinks on this show where they are full of alcohol, but so much stuff is in it that I can't taste the alcohol. So like after the show is over, sometimes immediately after the show is over, I have to do a screen managing thing for Show Up Kids. So then that's always an interesting show for me to screen manage when I've had like a full cocktail and I'm just like, let's make sure none of these kids do anything stupid. Oh God, because I'm gonna do something accidentally stupid.
First time I met Peter was when he was doing the Lance show at the Orlando Fringe, and we shared the same backstage together. Oh, there's another snafu I could talk about. So I'm backstage. That's how I meet Peter. I'm doing a play at the Orlando Fringe, and we're sharing the same green room. So, and it was really interesting to watch Peter do everything that he does for one of his shows. It's madness. He's one of the most impressive people I've ever met. Right. You'll be fine. That show where I met Peter, I blew my voice out day one. And I was playing the Puerto Rican drag queen that threw the first brick during the riots of Stonewall, 1969 Stonewall. And so I had this big moment in the show where I'm screaming and, F you, blah, 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 stupid cops, blah, 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 in high heels and everything. And I blew my voice out the first night of the show because of the type of theater we were in. We were in a lecture hall and not a performance hall, so it ate the sound differently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we never practiced in the hall. And then obviously opening night, ate the sounds. Emotions are high to begin with. Gone. And then it's Fringe. You're drinking, you're having fun, you're talking, blah, 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 right? So someone told me pineapple juice, whiskey, and cough drops. So by the end of the run, I was so messed up on whiskey, cough drops, that I didn't even have to pretend to be drunk.
Oh, no. I actually have a story similar to that. There was a musical I was in almost 3 years ago now. It was 2018. Where's the time gone? And it was in the dead of winter. It was a Christmas show. It was I Love My Wife. Nobody really remembers what the show is, but it's a 60s wife swapping musical set during Christmas time. The Christmas present they get for each other is wife swapping. Yeah. We were in a freezing cold theater, and it was the dead of winter. I was directing it, and I was also in it. And of course, because it was a wife swapping show, there was not a lot of clothes in a lot of scenes. So I, of course, was sick right before the show. And like, I'm a character singer, I like to say. So I already wasn't like a singer in the first place, but my voice was gone. So we tried Chloraseptic, actually. It kept not working. So finally, I just like chugged some backstage, and it worked too well in that I had no control over my voice. So it was just all of it. I'm like whispering to this guy that I'm lying naked. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Ah, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Just the entire like penultimate like song that we have. I just, oh my God. I felt so bad for him.
I love it. That's hilarious.
Oh, the things that happen when voices get lost on stage. Oh, there's a long comment. What's that?
Oh, question about the humor in Romeo and Juliet. What was the plan from the start, or did it come along as the characters? It was awesome, such energy. That's actually a really good question, Peter. It was a little of both. You know, I said earlier that my biggest note to them was bigger, more energy, you know, more choices. That was the other one, more choices. One of the things I found during my research was mask work. I mean, by found, I mean I've studied this stuff so many times, but refound, I guess you could say. It was mask work. So I realized that this is more spectacle driven and interesting than just this, right? And then on top of that, this is more interesting than just this, right? And so we were able to create a new Ricky and Dana call it the fifth wall. And so we were fighting against that fifth wall the whole time. But specifically with the humor, that's a really good question, Peter. Specifically with the humor, I wanted the show to be funny, period.
Yeah.
We're in such a time that I don't want to produce anything that was dark. So even with the script editing with Steven, how do we make it more punny? How do we make it more funny? How do we make it more lyrical? That's what I'm working on right now with my next few shows, is picking more lyrical shows, editing down shows that are more lyrical. But then with the humor, like Juliet, we punched up the childlikeness of her character, which made her 10 times funnier. I had multiple audience members come up to me and say, I've never seen Juliet be funny before. I've always seen her be a traumatic character. And I'm like, well, that wouldn't have done wonders for the show. So to answer your question specifically, Peter, yes, the comedy was intended. Where the comedy came out, we found during rehearsals and the process. I wasn't like, this is a joke, go. I always said that R&J was written as a comedia bit, and the Billy Bard suddenly remembered people need. I called it, Ricky, I called it an anti-hate satire.
I mean, I always think that all of Shakespeare's dramas led themselves very much to modern comedies because they're so melodramatic.
Right.
I mean, I just finished a Hamlet themed festival in August, and we didn't have a straight version of Hamlet in the entire thing, which was perfect. We had like a telenovela one, we had a parody, we had all of this stuff. We had a sketch comedy show. But not only have we all seen Hamlet done the way Hamlet's normally done 1.5 million times, but also like, come on, someone gets poisoned through the ear. Like this is insane. So Romeo and Juliet, especially, I feel like does lend itself very well to comedy, and you did a brilliant job with it too. So wonderful, yay, good job, good job.
Well, thank you. I had another thought and I completely lost it. Oh no, it was a good thought too. The tragedies are more funnier than the comedies. That's true. Oh, that's what it was. The anti-hate satire. Right. My biggest influence on the show was the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet, which I went back and rewatched it before I did the piece. Obviously, it was one of my biggest inspirations, and it was so underrated. In my opinion, everyone hated it back then. They were like, "This is ridiculous," and that's why he made Moulin Rouge. It's basically Romeo and Juliet as a musical. West Side Story. And I realized real quickly that he was making an anti-hate satire. That's why everyone was so melodramatic. That's why everyone was so big. That's why throwing off the jacket and the guns and oh. Also, another big inspiration. I said Peter was a really big inspiration. All of the framing work, where the camera needed to be for certain moments and stuff like that. A lot of that came from Desperately Seeking the Exit. There was a moment in Desperately Seeking the Exit, and you're actually doing it in your frame, where Peter's sitting in his apartment, as we all are, and he turns around and he points to the Desperately Seeking Susan poster on the wall, and he goes, "This is actually one of the real posters from from the movie," and right, and he looks at the camera and he's like, "All right, look, I'm not crazy. I don't normally keep that in my apartment wall during the regular year, but during the show, I thought it was appropriate. I normally keep it in my bedroom." First off, brilliant joke, brilliant writing, but the point that I really got from it was you can use this area. You can use this area. And so the actual direct translation of that was I had the moment where the TV shows up. I can actually do it. My TV's on. The friar's talking to Juliet, and then all of a sudden, God, this is so much harder than it should be. But then the TV's in the background. And then we had, we actually had, what was the movie? Black Panther on in the background, which is basically Hamlet.
Yeah.
And then, sadly enough, Chadwick Boseman died halfway through our run, so it kind of became super dark and important to show. But it was a subtle nod to other Shakespearean works, but also the point in the show that we picked to play in the background fit the scene that was going on at the time. And so again, the background can tell your story just as much as the foreground. Use all of the space available, damn it. All we have is our houses right now to do whatever we can.
My phone is dying, by the way, speaking of our houses to do whatever we can. Do you have any advice to give to anyone who's still feeling kind of stuck creatively and they want to create something, but they're just feeling like, how do I even do this? Do you have any advice?
Don't feel stuck.
Always good. Just do the thing.
Just do the thing. And then, so everyone asks me if I'm going to be worried about live theater opening up. Will I still be doing virtual theater? Yes. Yes, I will be. This is a new medium. Yeah. It's a brand new medium. Mm-hmm. And we're on the forefront of a brand new medium. We have the ability to tell these stories in such a new, unique way. My advice would be make it interesting. It can be interesting. It can be visually interesting. It doesn't have to be talking heads. It can be solo shows like Peter's stuff. It could be ensemble shows like Romeo and Juliet. It can be interview shows like this, but we still found a way to make it interesting. It's all about the concept. It's all about the execution. I would say then on top of that, just justify everything. Justify the cameras. Yeah. Don't do a Vietnam piece on and have the backdrop be Zoom, because Zoom didn't exist in the 60s and 50s and 60s and 70s. You know, like, don't do a World War II piece and have it be a phone play. Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. So justify everything. Justify the phones. Justify the being in an apartment. And if you do that, you justify the green screen. There was a War of the Worlds project I saw that used green screen in a way that was very compelling. It was still Zoom style, but like, and Ricky and Dana, they reviewed that one. You know, Peter is doing a toy theater play adaptation of Planet of the Apes called Planet of the Grapes. Like, come on, this is fun. This is fun. We can have fun. We don't. It's not a thing. It doesn't have to be a drag.
No.
Yeah. Hard.
Let's spark joy while we can.
Sorry, what?
No, just let's spark joy where we can right now. We have so little. Let's just have fun. Let's enjoy it.
Don't look at these limitations as hindrances, but challenges.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show. Is there anything else that you would like to tell people about the show?
That one, Ricky. Yes. War of the Worlds at Cal State. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell people about this show or any future shows that you're doing? Anything you want to plug?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm actually going to be the screen manager, whatever you want to call it, for Ricky and Dana's awards show that's coming up quite soon. I'm really excited about that. We still have the screen manager nominations are out there. Go and vote for them. My screen manager for Romeo and Juliet is nominated. I'm nominated. You're nominated.
And you can vote more than once, so vote for all three of us.
Vote for all of us multiple times.
Yes.
We all deserve it because it's hard.
I'm gonna be sitting in that virtual audience, like at the end of Mean Girls, just watching someone like break up their trophy and throw it out to the rest of everybody.
Voting's open till January 31st. That's right. So I'm doing that. I'm screen managing that, and we've been having a lot of fun doing the production meetings for that. I would like to. I'll plug Peter's show, Planet of the Grapes.
Yes.
I've been watching the progression of that, and it looks awesome. And by the way, Peter, I love toy theater. I'm so happy that someone else is doing toy theater. I'm working on multiple shows this year. My goal was to do 5 this year.
Okay.
My next one officially is going to be The Dark Lady of the Sonnets by George Bernard Shaw.
Okay.
And I'm going to be using green screen layering to have all the actors be on one stage as a proscenium arch, even though we're in our own houses.
Yes.
So it's going to be a lot of acting to nobody, but on screen it's going to look like I'm acting to somebody. Yes. I've been working on one of the most difficult show. I can't believe how difficult this show is being, but Liz Estrada. But I want to get it perfect. I want to get it right. The fourth wall breaking, all of it. Like, when the show finally gets done, all of the hard work I've been doing on the script and the casting and all of that is gonna be. I have some original pieces that are coming up this year. that are written specifically for Zoom, including a musical. I think I figured out how to do a musical with the lag and all of that. So I got a lot going on. You could hit me up on Facebook, Miles Berman. All my last names on this whole time I've only been shucks.
You've been like Cher.
Right. It's just Miles Berman, Miles just like that, and then Berman, B as in boy, E-R-M-A-N. MilesBeyondEntertainment.com goes to directly Romeo and Juliet. In fact, I'm talking to Steven today about making a true website out of it. You could also email me, berman.miles@gmail.com. I'm around.
Okay. Yay! Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on. This was really fun.
It was fun.
Yay! Come back anytime. Just let me know.
I would love that. I could talk about theater all day, every day.
Yay! Perfect. Awesome. Well, take a nap. I know it's very early still out there. And have a great rest of your Sunday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Yay! Oh my God, that was still so much fun. Please go check out the link below. We also posted it in the comments. It is a truly terrific show. Also, please keep track of what Miles is doing because all of those things sound amazing, wonderful. Next week, we have Blind Cupid Shakespeare joining us. I say next week because for the first time since I started the show in August, I am taking a Sunday off next week. Your girl is tired. It's my birthday month still technically next week. I had so much chaos. I produced 4 or 5 shows of my own original stuff during my birthday weekend, and I'm still trying to like simmer from that. So that was crazy times. So yeah, I'm gonna sleep in and snuggle with my dog next Sunday. But next week, Blind Cupid Shakespeare. Thank you again so much to Miles for coming on. Again, please keep track of everything that Miles is doing. And I will see you in February, everyone. Later.